Howdy! Welcome back to the Adventures of Anton Rayne. Oh, there are too many newspaper articles. I don't want to do all this reading. Red Youth rises. Warning bells for Sordland. Apparently the Red Youth have been seen rallying in Narble, and the whole Sword Post is worried about the commie kids. School poisoning in Ribble, that ain't good. School police have arrested the principal of a high school in Ribble in southern Bergia, where 12 students died after eating a free meal laced with pesticide. The students, aged 15 and 17, died after eating a lunch of a local dish, zabla. Is that the one we loved? Cooked at the school in a poverty-stricken city? Police have started the investigation to solve the mystery of how the pesticide ended up in the food. Get on that. The Economist is pointing out upcoming government budget changes. I don't want to deal with that. We're going to have to soon probably figure out how we're going to spend our money. Are we going to meet our election promises? I don't think there's enough money probably to go around, but... let's see. According to the Lock Haven Times, union workers put pressure for promised benefits. So the union workers and the Communist Party of Sordland are working together to strike at Gassum, the big gas company. Aren't they having financial problems or something there? Oh man. United Protest, we already looked at that. That's the labor union and the commies. Time to stand up for women. The women in Sordland have always been under pressure by unequal society and the system of discrimination that was built by old men who only knew about war. That's all I know about. Honey, can you make me toast? I never figured out this toaster thing. It seems like woman's work, said Katarina Horton in a women's rally that was held in Holsord yesterday. Oh, I don't care. Yes, rights for women. Women should be able to vote and use toasters or not use toasters, whatever. This movement must be supported by all Sordish women as well as men. We need to bring change now. We can do it. I'm going to support that. I've already told our wife, by that I mean Anton's wife, that yeah, I'm pro-vag. Like, yeah, equal rights for the pussy. People are questioning the soulless education. Apparently our education rate is 39th out of 68 nations because we have a education system that is built around teaching people how great soul was and not enough mathematics for some reason. That looks like something we ought to get on fixing and refining. And geopolitics, I don't want to learn about that. The Federation of the Ankaran Isles, a collection of strategically located islands between the continents of Mercopa and Contana, is positioning itself as a significant buffer zone and global trade power amid escalating tensions between the United Contana and Arcasia. That's great. I don't care. We want Arcasia to be our friend. The Grace Nations, these are the nations that are allied monarchies, are going to form their own ideological group. Alright, you're going to have all these kings as their own influential people at the UN. Oh, I would like to say, where's my butler? Whatever. Van Horten blames Vlagsland for missing fishing vessel. On Tuesday morning, Agnolia's Prime Minister Van Horten, we're trying to create an alliance with these guys, has made a statement denouncing Vlagsland for missing vessel. Hull number, who cares? Our dutiful coast guards have rescued a crew member of the missing vessel. Through his statement, we have learned of the ship's unfortunate end was none other than the Vagslandia Navy. However, the Prime Minister has refused to disclose the surviving crew member due to fear of an assassination attempt from Vagsland to cover up their hostility, as the minister later claimed. Well, I don't know. That seems like Shitsylvania. So right now, there's Vlogslands that supposedly destroyed the fishing vessel. Here's Ignolia that we're trying to get closer to. Our old teacher, David Wissey, and his team are currently leading a diplomatic mission to try and get Ignolia to like us more. Trying to form a kind of military bloc to counteract Rumburg and their aggressiveness, which has mostly been words. Narble has a lack of hospitals. Well, can't fix that. What else have we got? Brutish resistance in sanctuaries. Belgian security forces have arrested 3 priests at 2 different minority sanctuaries in Sarna. After finding links to insurgent activities, the report came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace, but instead found himself invited to join the Brutish Freedom Front by state-sanctioned priest. Dear God, hey, you want to join my war? What? Further incidents indicate that the BFF is pushing for a local recruitment drive in different sanctuaries across the region. What else? Boring? You're boring me with these reports. Communist books burned in Boren. Local residents gathered thousands of books that they claimed to be spreading communist and Malvanius propaganda at Century Park in Boren and set the books on fire. Aggressive slogans targeting the Red Youth, the Workers' Party of Bludia, and the Communist Party of Sordland were shouted, "Oh!" Youth groups from the local party officers of the USP and the Oh no. The USP is our party. Local party offices from our party joined the book burning, and the NFP. They're supposed to be... Oh, wait, okay, no, the NFP is the ultra-conservatives. I'm not surprised by that. The fire department was dispatched and the protesters dispersed on their own. I don't think that's a good look for our party, being a part of book burnings. Young Swords and NFP flags burned. A massive counter-protest against Young Swords. You know who's making money? The people selling this literature and these flags. Because somebody's got to buy them to burn them. Like, that's the racket to be in. A massive counter-protest against Young Swords, led by a local politician, known to be aligned with the Red Youth, resulted in many injuries and property damage. Subsequently, Young Swords and National Front flags were burnt, which caused tensions to escalate. Local police dispersed, and the protesters... Local police dispersed the protesters by sundown. Lockhaven, recession hits farmers again. Stop beating up those farmers, recession! As per the latest news from Lockhaven, the farming industry has taken another hit as the result of the recession. There are reports that 16% of all wheat in Lockhaven is rotting in barns due to a lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds from the government to survive this year. Why don't you make alcohol with it, dude? There's got to be something you can do with it. Legislative debate. On the repeal of the EPA, the Grand National Assembly, our Congress, was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Arguments both for and against the repeal were put forth, with Franz Richter, Arcadian sympathizer of the PIFJAs, the People's Freedom and Justice Party, and USP reformist leader Elben Klaven leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increased foreign investment. Interesting. So we have reason to believe, if Orso Hawker was telling us the truth, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, that Franz Richter has gotten in bed with the Arcadians. Now, I want to get in bed with the Arcadians, too. I want us to be a free market society. I want us to join ATO. But could this be part of Franz Richter's secret motive for making it so that foreign powers can buy our energy industry? These gentlemen argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, the United Sordland Party, that's our party, and the National Front Party, the ultra-right party, under the leadership of Gloria Tori and Kisaro Keebner, respectfully defended the act vehemently, citing the need for Sordland to protect its strategic industries from foreign control. The final decision now hinges on the vote, which will be held the following month. You know what's going to pass. It'll pass, and then we got to veto it or not. Of course it has to. Alright, what is the thing to do? Barbecue with Frank, isn't that our boy? Sunny boy. It was a Saturday afternoon, my first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit my backyard grill. Woof! Monica and Deanna were out shopping for craft supplies, and I had given the staff the day off. It was just me and my son Frank at home. I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment. Oh my god, quit being a pussy. Oh my god, does my kid like me? Who cares? It's time to have a beer. But I didn't know how he felt about barbecued ribs. Who doesn't love barbecued ribs? Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. Come to spend some quality time with your old man, have you, son? Sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of your busy schedule, I can! I'm not gonna get on his face. I'm sorry, Sonny. I know I haven't been around very often lately. I'm happy to see you now. If it makes you feel any better, Frank, in about 10 years' time, if I'm not dead, when you are not gonna hang out with me anymore because you've got your own girlfriend or boyfriend, I'll regret I didn't make an effort for you. Once it's way too late, I'll regret it. But I'm happy to see you now. Oh, it's okay, Dad. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of it all. We both chuckled. Ho ho! I turned to tend to the fire. Here, let me try, Dad. He grabbed the flame and started quickly waving it over the coals. The fire roared to life. He turned to look at me with a grin on his face, as if he was expecting praise. I could be an asshole. Don't act like you've done something special, Frank. I'm not gonna do that. It would be fun to do an asshole route. Most games I'd love playing the asshole, but no. Good job, kiddo. Thank you, sir. This is Frank doing it. It is our utmost interest to fulfill our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds once I pulled this rod out of my ass. Oh, Lucien, sorry, Frank, it was so good I thought Lucien was here. We looked at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. I realized my throat was parched. Now it's time for a beer. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen. Frank, why don't you grab us a couple of beers? He looked at me in disbelief. You mean I can, but Mom says a lot of things. You think I listen to everything your mom says? I'm the president of this country. Maybe not my house. He stopped himself, quickly ran inside, and returned with 2 beers. He's gonna be disappointed if he's never had one before. He's gonna be like, oh, this isn't that good. Yeah, you should really start with a mixed drink or something. But if I start giving you like a screwdriver, your mom's gonna be mad if you're drinking vodka. We cracked them open, the beers, clinked the bottles, and gazed out at the city skyline. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood. Is that gonna be like a helicopter and explosions because we lived during the Civil War? And my relationship with my own father. My father was a poor man who struggled to provide for us on his meager income. Oh yeah, we were poor with Mr. Mustopheles. Hey, poor bitches. Ha ha, I got all the money. You ain't got no money, Mustopheles. No, but I got good times, and that's more valuable than money. That's one to learn on. Mr. Mustopheles, he taught me the most important lessons. Father, though, he put me to work on the farm long before I was Frank's age, and even then, we couldn't always make ends meet, yet we were always close as a family. Now that I was the president, I knew Frank would never face the same hardships I had. I couldn't deny that I felt a bit jealous. Dad, can I, ask you something? Yeah, go ahead, kiddo. It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me about your past and what's going on right now. Are you working for Arcadia too? Like at dinner, that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now with the protests and the riots, is it going to be the same thing? Dad, is there going to be a civil war in Sordland? I'm gonna answer his question. I'm just gonna tell him the truth. Kid, I hope not. I'm trying not to have that happen. But man, shit's fucked. Don't tell your little sister. He let out a sigh. Ugh. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said the two of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore. You can tell me. Is this when I tell him a story that warps him forever? About putting my hand in a pile of goo that was my friend's face just 5 minutes prior? Before I could gather my thoughts, the familiar images started flashing before my eyes. Images of soldiers advancing towards me, and my friends, weapons drawn, of people I knew, friends and neighbors being dragged through the streets and murdered in alleyways. The shock and grief on the faces of the fathers, the mothers, the orphaned children. Sorry, this moment hits kind of hard. I used to have a job a long time ago in a bakery. And where I live, there's a lot of Dutch people that live here. After World War II, a lot of Dutch people came to America in this community and looking for a better life. And I worked with an old Dutch guy, and there was an older Dutch lady that worked in a different part. And I remember in the break room one day, some younger kid turned in and was like, "Hey, weren't you alive during the war?" And he's like, "What was it like?" And the old guy, George, he didn't say much. All he said was, "Those were dark times." And the lady, the Dutch lady who lived through it too, just nodded and agreed. And that's all. That's like all they would fucking say about it. Which I didn't press it. Like, I had family that lived through that shit. So, I mean, like, that's what we're gonna say. We were through the shit. Those were dark times, son. It seems like it. If he wasn't our son, I'd say let's change the subject instantly. But it is our kid. You're nearly a grown man, Frank. Alright, you deserve to know. If for no other reason that hopefully it'll help you make decisions in life and understand what we're trying to do. Frank leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. I'm going to tell Frank about the coup of 1927. I was barely older than you were now. Studying history at Dyer University of Culture, I was a freshman, excited and young. I had just left the classroom to go back home as I heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. As they got closer, I realized they were military camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that were supposed to protect Sordland's citizens pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. The more people got angry and gathered in protest. Frank kept listening, a shocked look on his face. I'm not going to hold back now. I was there with the protesters as they declared martial law, Frank. We marched towards them. They threatened to use force, but we stood our ground. So they started beating anyone they saw, including me. The physical wounds took a few weeks to heal. But the mental scars they've stayed with me till this day. I was lucky, though. Some of my friends were shot. Many more were arrested. I can't forget those screams to this day. Frank leaned back in his chair. His shoulders slumped heavily. I'm going to tell Frank about the Civil War. You wanted it. I am never going to fucking tell you the story again, son. So this is the one time. It was time to tell him about the Civil War. It was the right... After I met your mother, man, I saw those fine titties. Oh, Dad, I don't want to hear about Mommy's boobies. Yeah, they were fine. It was right after I met your mother. We had both joined the same human rights group to push for change after the coup of 27. But over the next year, the state of Sordland deteriorated. People started picking sides, and I tried to stay away from it as much as I could. Then one night it happened. Two different factions in the army, one led by the fascist General Lutheran and the other by the socialist Ricard. They started fighting against each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. Frank shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. People organized protests, either for or against Ricard. I heard about the clashes the next day. Many of my friends were shot or arrested. I isolated myself for months. That's enough for today, though. Because we didn't join the communists. We didn't join the fascists. It's okay, Dad. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. Well, Frank, that's a pretty wise thing of you to say, you little cush bitch. One more thing, though, Dad. I know that you managed to not take any sides. Do you mind if I ask why? I could say I do mind, but I don't mind. I didn't want to be a part of the violence, like I said. The problem wasn't either of those. The problem are, they were two sides of the same coin. It was either going to be the communist dictatorship or the fascist dictatorship. They're two sides of the same coin, and I did not want some of either. Frank raised his eyebrows, his curiosity still not satisfied, but sensing my reluctance to go on, he simply nodded. Sorry for bombarding you with questions, Dad. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. What problems, kiddo? Before Frank could say anything else, I heard the front door unlock. Ugh, women, am I right, Frank? Oh shit, give me that beer, Frank. I better chug it. If you just hold it, she won't know. No, I better chug that beer for our safety's sake. Deanna and Monica's voices and sounds of rustling shop bags filled the house. All right, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Frank went in and dashed upstairs. Thanks, kiddo. I took a long sip from my beer, sippity sip sip, looking at the city and the now setting sun. I hoped that talking to Frank about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted. Wow, I gotta finally share it with somebody that wasn't my wife. And, you know, the kid gets to know that. He gets to know his legacy. Well, good for him. But I had the same nightmares again that night. You know, some scars just never heal. Well, that was a heavier episode, man. Going back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass. We had a moment and we connected with our son. If you notice that the economy is improving, it's still getting worse. It's not getting worse. The decline has decreased. Maybe it'll start to improve. Our hands-off approach is starting to show some change. Either way, I think that's going to be the end of this episode. You know, we've had so many bad things happen. Let's just enjoy this one good moment we had. Thank you for spending some time with me and our boy Frank.